Well, here we are at the end of iCarly. iCarly has finally finished its first season run, and I honestly hope there isn't a second season in its future. I gotta be honest, I didn't even want to watch this stupid show, but I didn't think it could possibly be this bad, and I was 100% wrong. 100% wrong. Now listen, guys, I'm not the biggest fan of reboots or anything. They usually just don't work, and at the very best, they're just alright, if not terrible. It's just a lazy way for companies to grab cash, and that seems to be what every company's doing right now. I mean, look at Star Trek, Raven's Home, Girl Meets World, even Pretty Little Liars is getting a reboot. And yeah, it's kind of weird to group Star Trek and Raven's Home and Girl Meets World into the same sentence, but they were the first reboots that came to my mind. Anyways, this show is so ill-conceived that I literally need to touch on every single aspect of it, so that's what we're going to be doing. Welcome back to Popcorn Cinema, where today we're going to break down every issue with the iCarly reboot. First, I want to go over the characters and then eventually move into the overall themes that just don't work at all. So hold on as we attempt to get through this, and don't worry, it's a team effort. I'll be there every step of the way. This was not easy, but let's jump into it. I feel like this should go without saying, but the moment Jennette McCurdy declined to return for this reboot is the moment this show should have been scrapped. Dunzo, cancelled, gone. Somehow, the powers that be did not see it that way though. Harper is effectively a replacement for Sam, and this drives me up the wall. Harper does not feel like a real character even. Like, it seems like she's only here to cause conflict with Spencer, and I guess that's their twisted idea of character or writing. This gets annoying really quickly, and it's just not funny.
And I'm the undisputed queen of wedding hookups.
Undisputed? I dispute it.
Is that a challenge?
What I want to know is why they're telling us, the audience, that this is a bunch of mature adults, i.e. the main characters. But for some reason, they're still acting like they're 10, so something doesn't line up here. It doesn't make any sense at all. Maybe they should have tried to make their characters act their own age, just an idea though. Furthermore, they don't really give Harper any sort of identity other than being into fashion and being a lesbian. While on the other hand, this show doesn't fall victim to that gay trap where every gay character, the fact that they're gay is their only personality trait. They actually handled Harper well in this aspect, as she actually only brings up being gay actually almost never. It almost never comes up. I sometimes forget that she is. Although that's pretty much the only thing I can really give her character. That's the only compliment. And one of the only compliments I can give this show. Because being annoying is not a character trait. It doesn't mean that you're well written. You can't just give me... Yeah, okay. This show drives me absolutely up the wall. It's even hard to talk about it. Okay, before I start this, forgive my rant because it's certainly going to become one. I cannot stand the kid character is a secret genius trope. Millicent is constantly shown to be smarter than everyone else in the room, and I honestly can't figure out why.
Besides, I don't need your flimsy discount. I'm about to be Beyonce rich with my new business.
What did I tell you about taking Bae's name in vain?
Oh, it's not in vain. Since finding Freddie's old post turned out to be profitable, I realized that there's a hole in the market. Any Gen Z kid can tell you what's offensive now, but only Millicent can predict what will offend next. I am the offensive oracle.
It's not funny, it's not cute, and it's not endearing. Now, I understand making Millicent the foil for Freddie, because, everyone needs a foil, but not to the extent iCarly has done. You cannot tell me with a straight face that Millicent is smarter than Freddie. We already know Freddie's pretty smart, so I'm not sure why they keep trying to push this message to us that he's an idiot, or that Millicent is smarter than him, for that matter. Especially since she never, ever listens to him. So where would she even get knowledge from? School? Whatever. As far as I can tell, she doesn't listen to any sort of adult, parental, any person in power. So, school isn't even an excuse for this character to be smart. So I can't even explain it.
Look, Kiki, that's not gonna cut it. If I do the work, I should get paid.
That's my girl. I mean, young person.
Well, maybe one day you can start your own club and make whatever rules you want.
That's the smartest thing you've ever said, Kiki.
And it's not just Freddie who falls victim to this. Every single character on the show is just somehow instantly dumbed down when Millicent's in the room. Or maybe they're just always dumb. Evidently, you just don't evolve past lower school, according to iCarly. Unless you're Millicent, of course. Millicent has got to be the single most annoying character on this show. We lose absolutely nothing by removing her from it. Her only purpose seems to be to draw kids into the show, which again also makes no sense. Now I get it. Most shows have a character whose primary purpose is to appeal to a younger audience, but this is extremely misguided as this is not a kid's show at all, and I'll touch on that problem later. Poor Freddie. Evidently, he does absolutely nothing with his life, somehow. I get that Freddie's meant to be the comic relief in the situation, but it is way overdone, especially since this show is supposed to be a comedy, which means everyone's supposed to be funny, not just Freddie. Freddie is constantly being beaten down over and over again, which just makes no sense. Does character progression not exist in this show? I really don't understand how every character seemingly was put into stasis and just woke up years older. There's not much to say about Freddie. He's annoying, he's a slave to his annoying daughter, Millicent, and it's just not funny. As sad as it is to say, I don't think the show would lose too much by not including his character in it. Although, honestly, I feel like the show would be fine by not using any of the characters in it, or by, just not existing at all. Like, come on, Freddie. Millicent says to your face that she's going to, use you, and you don't do anything about it. What kind of parenting is that? But, I guess he's not a good parent, judging on his decisions he makes later, which, again, I'll get into. Honestly, Spencer is genuinely funny. This really surprised me because I never found any of Jerry Trainor's characters funny in the past. The idea that Spencer is now rich is somewhat ridiculous, especially considering that his art is absolute garbage, but maybe that's the joke. And honestly, it's a joke I can live with. The only lines of dialogue I've laughed at thus far in the show, and I guess all of season 1, have been Spencer's. I don't really have any gripes about Spencer. Similarly to Harper, most of what Spencer does is cause conflict. However, when Spencer does it, it is funny somehow. You see, Spencer has the resources. He's rich. He knows people. All Harper does is get grumpy about it, which is even more annoying. So, good job, Spencer, for actually using a character trait you have, i.e. being rich, to make your character funny. I guess Harper does the same thing. She uses her character trait, which is being annoying, to be annoying. So,
And I know that you didn't just try to insinuate that you're at a disadvantage because you're straight.
No, I didn't.
I thought so. I was like,
That would be
that's
crazy.
Oh boy, here we go. Looks like I've saved the most convoluted for last. I have a lot to say about Carly. Maybe this type of stuff can fly when you're a kid, but certainly not when you're meant to be an adult. I swear to God, Carly has schizophrenia or psychosis or some other mind-altering disease or medical condition. Carly literally is not grounded in reality, and this is super evident in every single episode. No, every single scene she's in. Literally in an episode at Neville's wedding, because cameos are all that matter anymore, Carly is so convinced that Neville made a robot wife.
Wow, you look just like a real bride.
Oh, I wish I could cry. Why can't you? No, dear ducks.
This makes absolutely no sense, because, robots just don't exist, at least not in that capacity. Last time I checked, this is supposed to be a show that's grounded in reality. She had literally no reason to even think that Neville's wife was a robot. Neville's wife had some metal pieces in her head, which were magnetic. because, you know, a lot of metal is magnetic. That's not even weird. People have metal plates put in them for many different medical circumstances, but it doesn't even end there. Carly makes Neville's wife talk about an extremely traumatic experience in her life just to satisfy her psychosis-induced robot hysteria. And the worst part is, this doesn't even convince Carly. She still thinks she's a robot after this. Right, so Carly is helping Neville's wife get her wedding dress ready for, you know, her wedding, and the battery pack falls out. Now, here's what I want to do now. I want to play a game.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
What's more likely? A. Neville's wife is a robot. Or B. Neville's wife's dress has lights on it.
You better hurry up. Live or die. Make your choice.
If you guessed answer B, congratulations, you're not a complete moron. Now, I get that this is supposed to be funny. I get it, it's supposed to be comedy, but it's just not. As a viewer with an IQ higher than 100, it's pretty obvious that there's no way this human is a robot. This isn't even the worst of Carly yet. I swear Carly is the worst person on planet Earth. I swear every episode Carly has a new boyfriend. And you know how every episode ends? With Carly breaking up with her new boyfriend for some mundane reason, which is usually her own fault. Of course, she's not smart enough to realize that, so she chalks it up to being her ex-boyfriend's fault, or the ex-boyfriend must be a terrible person and Carly's always right. Carly Shay is the single most toxic TV character I have seen in a very long time. It's not even funny how awful she is. And that's it. We're not talking about Carly anymore, because she needs to get herself fixed or whatever. She needs to go to a doctor and get this psychosis checked out to cure the delusions of grandeur, because this isn't even, like, the worst part about her is she doesn't even realize that she's the problem. She has no clue. I mean, I don't even want to talk about this show anymore, if I'm being honest. Like, for real, I think Riverdale has better written characters than this. Is like Archie's at least an actual character, kind of. Not really, still better than Carly. No, but in all seriousness, what is it with TV making their main character the least likable member of the cast nowadays? I've noticed this trend in a lot of shows, and I'm respectfully asking Hollywood to correct this issue. Thank you. I get it. iCarly used to be a kids show, so the producers are hoping to capture another child audience, as well as the adult audience who used to be kids who watched the original show. But this simply does not work. I swear this show gives me whiplash. One episode can be about Millicent trying to sell Girl Scout cookies, and the next can be about all the adult characters getting addicted to drugs, and then becoming drug dealers themselves by extension. No, I'm not kidding. They all got addicted to drugs. This isn't even the worst thing, though. Almost every scene depicts the main characters drinking alcohol. In fact, they usually point it out. It's almost as if they're trying to say, hey, look at us, we're an adult show now. We're talking about alcohol and one-night stands and, like, drugs and sex and whatever. So my number one question is, why are you trying to get a bunch of kids to watch a show where they push these messages that drugs and alcohol will solve all your problems? It honestly confuses me.
I like this song.
I like it too. Great for lots of occasions.
I swear, if we were playing a drinking game where you had to take a shot every time one of the main characters mentions, reacts, or is on screen with alcohol, I'd need a new liver, especially Carly. Carly is definitely an alcoholic, just throwing that out there. Carly's having a bad day, take a shot. Carly's having a good day, take a shot. It's just a bad message to send to kids, and it's not funny. Circling back to the drug part, once the main gang starts taking the drugs I was talking about earlier, all their problems start to melt away. Freddie starts standing up to Millicent.
I'm ready for our meeting, Mr. Benson.
Okay, let me take a shot of courage first.
Spencer starts becoming more sensitive. Carly cures her psychosis, which is a weird symptom of drugs, but okay. The show does not even try to justify this at all. In fact, Freddie is so addicted to this whole idea, he actually spends $4,000 buying more drugs so he can go out and sell them to other people.
They just gave you all this inventory?
Yeah, once I gave him $4,000.
This $4,000 was the money he was saving to move out of his apartment with his mom. This clearly upsets Carly, so guess what she does? She doesn't drink alcohol, but she does start chugging more of her psychosis-curing drugs. Just like how Freddie starts chugging his confident drugs whenever he has to talk to Millicent now. In the end of the episode, they try to pull this 180 on the whole drug thing, because I guess drug abuse is bad now, they've decided. And they say it was fish food the whole time. This is completely stupid and no one's buying it. It's the intentions that matter. They thought they were taking drugs, the audience thought they were taking drugs, the kids thought they were taking drugs. So I guess drugs are cool now since iCarly said so? No, I absolutely have no problem with adult themes like this showing up in a show, but they have to commit themselves to making the show a mature show. However, iCarly is really trying to walk the line between kids and adult shows, and it just needs to stop. But if they do want to have these mature themes in a kids show, they need to make sure it's presented in a way that makes it really clear that this is not an advisable course of action, and it will lead to major complications down the line. Don't do some stupid thing like saying, oh, it's fish food anyway, it wasn't real drugs, it's fine, whatever. So I guess the takeaway of iCarly is that drugs are cool, and alcohol and drugs will solve all your problems. Cool. This show makes it abundantly clear that the people behind it were not confident it could stand on its own. This is very evident in the fact that the show is basically it's just constant cameos by old characters. I don't even think we can get through a single episode of the show without there being some callback to an original character. And yeah, I get it. Nostalgia's fun. Nostalgia's cool. But when it happens every second, it loses its value. It's not special anymore. A lot of the plots actually revolve around old iCarly plots, which is just lazy. Were you really so desperate to make this reboot that you just had to use old stuff because you didn't feel like writing new stuff? I actually have a really cool solution to this problem. It's called writing a script. I swear they try to save as much money on the show as possible, which from an economic standpoint makes sense, but it's jarring for the audience when they only rehash old stuff. Entire flipping episodes should not revolve around plots from a decade ago. I'll let it slide once, but when it's like 3 or 4 times, that's just unforgivable. It's lazy and it's insulting to all the people who are fans of the show, if you ask me. Based on what I've heard, the original cast of iCarly are all still good friends. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just what I've heard. So why in the world would they all agree to go back and work for Dan Schneider? Look, I'm not going to go into this Dan Schneider thing because it's been said a million times, and quite frankly, the whole conversation is pretty stale and annoying at this point. But how would you feel if your friends agreed to go back and support the person who caused so much, just chaos on your life? It just doesn't seem like a very friendly thing to do. I feel like I must say once again, if Jennette McCurdy declined to come back, the show should have just been scrapped right then and there. End of story. Okay, I think I've said all I have to say about this show. I think this show is incredibly stupid. I'm not too sure why so many people like it. Remember, just because something is nostalgic doesn't make it good. Just look at the new Star Wars movies. I just really hope this show doesn't get another season. Let's just stop beating the dead horse and trying to milk IPs that are way past their time. Just let it go. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. Anyways, thank you guys for sitting through this entire video. I really appreciate it. If you like the content, please consider leaving a like and, of course, subscribing. Of course, that really helps me out. And you can stay up to date on all future videos. Until next time, goodbye and thank you.